Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, all you dregs to society, as well as you sycophants, you stinkos, and all you hateful people who celebrate the president. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show, and you are always welcome here. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network, and joining me as my co-host is the Patriot from the Commonwealth of Virginia, the President and CEO of Frontiers of Freedom, and that's George Landrith. George, welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
It's great to be with you. This is the place to be. The way I see it, if you're not here, I don't even know where else you'd want to be. What's the point?
I can't think of too many places I'd rather be. Maybe I'm in an easy chair taking a nap with the kitty cat on my lap, but I'll do that a little later. George, I wrote an article not too long ago, Is the Coronavirus Crystal Ball into Socialism and Bigger Government? And right after I wrote that, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer proclaimed that, well, if you're fortunate enough to live in the state of Michigan and have two homes, that you had to pick one of those homes and stay in it. George, what I feel is happening here with this corona epidemic is these politicians, these mayors, these governments, these public officials are finding out that this gives me power to just about do whatever I want to do. And George, what I'm fearful of, that they're going to use any little excuse, and I'm not saying that the coronavirus is a little issue, it's a big issue. But in the future, they're going to take advantage of the fact that they were able to take these actions during the coronavirus and use them just about any time they want to, calling anything a catastrophe.
Yeah, I think that... I think you're right. I think what we're seeing is the Democrats clearly believe the whole concept of never let a good crisis go to waste. And they want to make sure they don't. And so they want to acquire as much power as possible. Nancy Pelosi, Governor of Michigan, all of these people are clearly interested in augmenting the power that they have to control the lives of people. They can say things like, we're only interested in helping people out, and we're just trying to use the power we have to navigate us through this coronavirus. And all I can say to that is that's a bald-faced lie. Let's be honest. Nancy Pelosi does not need to nationalize elections and create the ability to cheat and so forth in order to help us get through this virus, but she wants to. She doesn't need to be able to give money to the Kennedy Center to supposedly save jobs there and then have them fire everybody the next day. Yeah. So the point is she just wants to do what she wants to do. And I think the Michigan governor is the exact same boat. This whole idea that they want to tell you if you have two homes, pick which one to live in. If you own a home and then you own another home and you decide that for some reason you want to go from one to the other, maybe you're living in one and it develops a problem and you can't get people out to fix it, or maybe you can't afford to fix it right now during this crisis, so you kind of shut it down and go to the other one. I don't know. I don't have two houses, but bottom line is I could get in my car and drive from my one home to my other home, which I don't own, but I could do that. And my wife and I could socially distance from everybody in the process. So the only reason for this rule is simply to dictate to me what I can do and can't do. It doesn't actually help anyone. Right. And I think that's what we see over and over with these people, is they see a circumstance, they want to use it to grab and glom onto more and more control and power, because quite frankly, these people are totalitarians at heart. That's the fact. I'm sorry, that may sound mean, but they've revealed themselves as this. And all I'm doing, I'm not calling them names, I'm just observing their behavior.
Well, George, there's another frightening aspect of this Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan. She gave the rebuttal to President Trump's State of the Union message. She's widely believed to be one of the people of interest to be Joe Biden's vice presidential nominee. He has pledged that a woman will be his vice president. And my gosh, for this woman to be a heartbeat away from the presidency, someone who easily uses these dictatorial powers, that's a scary thought, George. Very scary thought.
Indeed, it is. I'd want someone who doesn't spend their time conniving on how to get more of my money and more of my freedom in their back pocket, but is instead interested in preserving my freedom and my money and other things. That's right. Their purpose for serving, is that they're trying not to separate me from my freedom and not to separate me from the things that I've earned and worked hard for. And show me even one Democrat who meets that test on the national scene. One. And I just think that's what's happened to the party. The party has become the party of not just big government, but big government at the expense of you. Big government at the expense of me. Big government at the expense of our viewers and our listeners.
Well, George, this coronavirus, I think, has really shown what people truly are. And I'll use a couple examples for this. My wife and I like to get out and go for walks. I mean, there's not a lot more you can do. You can still walk the streets around here. And it's interesting as we pass, as we pass people's homes, total strangers, how they seem to want to communicate with us. Hello, how are you? How about this? But I also think it has shown some very, very ugly sides of it, especially when it comes to the media. MSNBC hopes Americans dying from the coronavirus will, quote, take Trump down. I mean, they're hoping that people dying, the coronavirus, the deaths from the coronavirus, will help bring down a presidency. George, these are just mean, nasty, horrible, hateful people. And they're the ones that have the signs, hate has no home here, right?
Yeah, no. It's not only does hate have a home there, it's a home they've built from the ground up, from the foundation up on hatred. It's really kind of sad because I mean, my organization was targeted by Barack Obama, the IRS and so forth, as part of the weaponization of government against the American citizenry. So I had lots of reasons to hate him, and there were times where I thought maybe I did, but now I realize I did not hate him, because I never once wanted people to die so that he wouldn't be president any longer. I didn't want people to suffer financial ruin so that he would no longer be president. I disagreed with him vehemently. I thought he was a horrible president. I thought that he was not serving our nation's best interests. At times, he was serving Iran's interest. I'm not saying he was an operative for Iran. I'm saying the policies he pursued were not in our interest, and they helped them, not us. And I'm not accusing him of treason. I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know this, that he consistently pursued policies that were horribly misguided and that were not in our nation's best interest. But I wasn't running around trying to, hoping that bad things would happen to other Americans so we could dispose of him and get rid of him. It's just, to me, it's bizarre. You have to be an incredibly dark human being, just have a hateful heart, that to be able to say that you hope a certain event causes as much pain as possible, so that the public will become turned off to this particular leader so that you and your politics can prosper or benefit by it. I think that it's despicable. It's Indeed deplorable. It and Indeed they call us the deplorables. Good heavens. You've got to be freaking kidding me. These people truly are just despicable human beings.
And with that, George, we do need to take our first break, and you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with George Landrith and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. Today's show, like all our shows, is brought to you by the First Amendment, also protected by the Second. George and I will be right back. We'll tell you who our guests are, and the topics for our conversations for today.
Mom, thank God you're gonna be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. But when I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm gonna call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033. Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with George Landrith and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for rebroadcast, please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Be sure to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. George, once again, 3 great guests are going to be joining us today.
That's the truth. We always have great guests, but today certainly is no exception. It's just an illustration of the cold, hard facts that we have the best guests at Conservative Commandos. We're going to start off with Dr. Michael Busler. He's a professor in finance and economics at Stockton University. We're going to talk to him about a little bit about what we see going on from an economic side of things. I think it'll be interesting. He's widely published, and I think his knowledge of finance and economics will be useful for us to navigate a little bit about this whole kind of difficult economic situation we find ourselves in. And then we're going to shift gears and go to Andy Mangione. He's the vice president of of AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. So I think that means you and I, even though we're old enough to belong, probably shouldn't belong because I don't know, sometimes we're immature. No, but we'll have a great conversation with him about this whole kind of the political atmosphere we're in and how it impacts seniors, what seniors are looking for. We're told, of course, that they're one of the at-risk groups. And so the question would be is, are they given to kind of fear-mongering, or are they serious consumers of news and information, and are they looking for serious solutions? My suspicion is that they are, looking for serious solutions. But CNN wouldn't have you believe that. That's for sure.
Absolutely not.
And then we'll wind up with our last guest will be Hans von Spakovsky, friend of yours and mine of the show, and he is also a legal fellow, senior legal fellow at Heritage Foundation. He's at their Edwin Meese III Center for Legal Studies, Legal and Judicial Studies, and he's knowledgeable on all kinds of issues. But one of the things I think we'll probably talk to him about is because Nancy Pelosi was trying to put into some of these recovery packages a means to put them in charge of federal elections and to change the rules so they could commit fraud with impunity. I think we want to talk to them a little about what's going on with that, and are we at risk, and how do we stop that? So everything has a little bit to do with coronavirus, but we're kind of talking about some of the other issues that surround this, and I think it should be very interesting, and maybe a welcome respite from just coronavirus 24/7.
Well, George, with that being said, I hate to take you back to the coronavirus, but my gosh, that's what's in the news. That's what everyone was talking about.
No, you're right. And I think our guest will, on some level, be talking about it, but I think we'll try to bring some interesting facets in so that we bring you new news, useful news, and not just a repeat of what you might have heard somewhere else. And you and I will do that now, either way.
Well, George, remember right back before Christmas, everything was about impeachment.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are asking the questions, let's be honest, impeaching Trump, did that hurt his response to the coronavirus? Or did that take the eye of not just the president, but everybody else away from the coronavirus? And maybe if it wasn't for all the impeachment talk and all the impeachment hearings, maybe it wouldn't be as bad a problem as it is today. Maybe we as a country could have responded sooner.
Yeah, you never know. I'm not one who believes that Donald Trump acted, slowly, or in hindsight, we could always go back and say if we'd known more, we might have acted faster. We could say that about Barack Obama, and yet some people, if you believe polling, think that he was a great president. And the fact is, he didn't do diddly about the swine flu until way late, like 9 months later. This president was not guilty of that. So I'm not accusing him of acting slowly, but I would say this. This president has been beleaguered from day one. He wasn't even inaugurated yet, and the mainstream press was talking about how they wanted him impeached. And then this goes on for 3 straight years with, bogus We now know the whole Russiagate thing was a complete sham. The FBI was absolutely lying through their teeth. They're corrupt down to the last man that was involved in that. I'm not saying the whole organization is. I'm saying every single person who played a role in the Russiagate thing knew it was a bogus, stupid political ploy, and every last one of them should be fired and kicked out of the FBI. And we now know that. We've seen what so forth. So, but then you get to the impeachment, and this impeachment wasn't just in December. This went into January, and I'm trying to remember now. It might even gone into early February before they had the vote in the Senate. But anyhow, the point is, it went pretty late into the year, and the president was in fact working on the coronavirus. But let's be honest: would you like the president to spend several hours a day working on how to resolve this bogus impeachment garbage, or would you want him to spend every waking hour worrying about the coronavirus? And I would say I would prefer the latter, but not Nancy Pelosi. Not Nancy Pelosi. Not while the president was actually working on the coronavirus and banning travel from China, she was handing out impeachment pens. And she was doing other things to divert his attention so he couldn't give his undivided attention. So the answer is, if anybody has a complaint about how quickly he acted, I would argue you have Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and the Democrats to thank for that. And I would argue that when they viciously attack him for being a xenophobe and a racist when he shuts down travel from China, you ought not later say the president should have done more earlier. Because when he did do and take important measures to protect Americans, you not just criticized him, but attacked him as being a bad human being, as being a racist, as being dark-hearted, and all this other stuff, which demonstrates these people are utterly without any character at all. They cannot be trusted. They simply will say whatever they need to say at the given moment that they think will give them more power. So on one day, Donald Trump's not doing, he's doing way too much. He's a xenophobe. He's a racist. And this travel ban is horrible. How dare he? We all knew he was a bad man. Orange man bad, blah, blah, blah. And then, 3 weeks later, the president wasn't doing nearly enough. What's wrong with this man? I'm sorry, you can't have it both ways. That's just nuts. And so these people, while I don't think the president messed things up or did things wrong, there's no doubt that they took from him time and information and the ability to spend his undivided attention on the coronavirus. Instead, he had to do several things at once. He had to juggle some.
Well, George, talk about information. It's now coming out that China concealed the extent of the virus outbreak. And maybe if the president wasn't so tied up with impeachment and all those false accusations, maybe he would have seen it a little sooner. Just
absolutely.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, I mean, not only was China, to this day, China's lying about things. America does not have more coronavirus people, and it doesn't have more coronavirus deaths than China does. China's just lying about things. Mm-hmm. Their intelligence reports out that say they've had thousands of times more deaths than they're admitting to. They admit to somewhere around like 3,000 or 3,300. There are people who think they have more than that many thousands of deaths. And I've seen some even higher than that. Intelligence reports look at things like when you look at satellite photography, you can kind of tell what's going on at certain areas if they know that's for example, a mortuary or a funeral home and how busy it is. And they're unusually busy even now. Mm-hmm. George, and yet they haven't reported a single death in weeks.
Well, George, we got an idea of what's going on in China. We absolutely what's going on in South Korea. North Korea has been very quiet. Have you noticed North Korea has been very quiet for the last month or so? God knows what's going on in North Korea.
Yeah. The sad thing is the leadership in North Korea is so barbaric that it could well be that the coronavirus is the least of their problems, because this is a guy who feeds his own uncle to dogs and things like a pack of wild ravenous dogs. It's inhuman what goes on there, and then of course, because it's this repressive communist regime, they don't really view their people as an asset. So if someone's sick, they don't they're probably just viewed as dead weight. It's really sad to see that, where they don't have that value of human life. That, quite frankly, is part of China's problem. It's part of, communist regimes have never valued the lives of their people.
No, they never have it. We've seen so many examples of this. Stalin, Castro, just all over. Wherever you've had a communist, wherever you have had a communist government, a communist leader, they could care less about the health and safety of their people. Let's take care of us, the hell with the rest of them. Well, George, we got to go to our next break, and get our first guest on. You are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with George Landrith. Yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be welcoming back to the Conservative Commandos Dr. Michael Busler. He's a public policy analyst and a professor of finance of Stockton University. And we're going to be discussing the very remarkable President Donald Trump. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our first guest of the day.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is George Landrith, President and CEO of Frontiers of Freedom. And for rebroadcast of our show, please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Be sure to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And with that, George, our first guest of the day, is with us. And as you do with all our guests, please make them feel welcome.
Looking forward to it. It'll be another great interview. We have the privilege of having with us Dr. Michael Busler. He is a public policy analyst. He's also professor of finance at Stockton University. He teaches finance and economics, so he would know something about what's going on in the economy right now, and it's one of the reasons why we have him on the show, because we want to have a great discussion about that. But it's not just us that think his opinions and views are worthwhile. He's been writing op-eds in major newspapers all across the country for more than 35 years. So apparently others agree with us that he is a guest in the know. So with that, Michael, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio and television program.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. Look forward to today's talk.
Absolutely. You've written a really interesting article, and I think you made some great points about the choice, essentially, or the pressure that will be on President Trump. We've kind of seen it play out. You know, there are those who say that if we start to get back to work, we're putting the almighty dollar over lives, and that every life has, you know, an infinite value. And I understand spiritually and kind of religiously, I believe that, but that's not actually how we run policy. If it were, then you would never have sent soldiers up the beaches at D-Day, for example. If it were, we would probably outlaw tubs and showers because people slip on them every day. And in many cases, die as a result of the concussion or the hit that they receive. So obviously there has to be some sense here, and just help us understand this issue, because I don't really think that money is evil, and yet this is almost the discussion that we're having, is that money is bad and we got to save lives. And I feel like money actually helps save lives. That's how you build hospitals. It's how you do research. It's how we discover new things. So explain to us kind of how we should be seeing this issue, acknowledging that, sure, lives are important. Every one of us has grandparents we love. Every one of us has parents and family members we love, friends and neighbors. So it's not a one or the other. And quite frankly, economic poverty has its own death toll. So fill us in. Why does this, how do you balance all this?
Yeah, so it's very difficult. And President Trump has, as he said himself, the biggest decision he's ever made in his lifetime. And it's very difficult. Look, we all value, as you mentioned, George, we all value human life. On the other hand, we can't sit here doing nothing and shut down the economy. That's likely to cause more trouble and more problems than saving some of the few lives that we're saving. Just to put this in a little bit of perspective, it looks like we're probably going to end up with about 60,000 deaths from this virus. We're at, I think, a little over 20,000 now. We're just about at the peak. So when we finally hit the peak, the downside should be probably pretty close to what the upside was. So if we peak out at about 25,000, we'll probably have another 30,000 more deaths until this is finally eradicated. So certainly 60,000 deaths is not a small number. However, last year there were 71,000 deaths from the flu, just a regular flu, and we had flu shots and things to try to prevent that. And everybody obviously didn't do that. So the economy itself was doing exceptionally well this year. January and February looked very good. In fact, I thought this virus not hit, that 2020 would have seen the best growth rate since 2005. We'd have probably hit about a 3.5% or better growth rate. Everything was going well. The unemployment rate is rock bottom for everybody. Wages are going up faster than they have in decades. Inflation is still very, very tame, so people are seeing real increases in purchasing power. The stock market had been doing exceptionally well, getting up to new highs. So everything was real set. President Trump had eliminated a lot of burdensome and counterproductive regulations that slowed economic growth. He repealed part of the Dodd-Frank bill, which prohibited banks from doing a lot of lending. That meant monetary policy rather wasn't working effectively, but he fixed that. The interest rates, he got the Federal Reserve to drop the interest rates 3 times last year. So we're all set for some good growth. And then this virus hit, and the reaction was we wanted to shut down everything. Now, we'll debate whether that was the right action or not, mostly because we were fearful of how far this virus could get and what kind of damage it could cause. We simply didn't know. It's more contagious than other viruses, so we didn't want millions of Americans dying. On the other hand, by shutting down the economy, we're likely to see, right now, there are about 10% of the workforce, it's about 16 million workers have been laid off in just the last couple of weeks. So you're going to see an unemployment rate when the May number comes out, probably over 15% and maybe as high as 20%. Now, fortunately, Congress passed a stimulus package to try to minimize some of the negative effects. My view is that the stimulus package was very good and it was bad at the same time. Why do I say that? Well, it was very good in that the unemployed workers will see their unemployment benefits increase and they can collect for a longer time period if necessary. The federal government is literally giving away free money. They're handing $1,200 to every American that filed a tax return. For a family of 4, it's $3,400. What that'll mean, and that money is just this week starting to get to Americans. So what that'll mean is I'm somewhat optimistic that they'll be able to reopen at least parts of the economy by the end of this month. So on May 1st, there'll be parts of the country that are not severely impacted by this virus, and we'll be able to begin to open those. Cities like New York and some of the other cities that have problems are going to not reopen quickly, but we should be able to start to reopen the economy in May. Consumers will have money to spend because the government just gave them some money. Unemployed people got good unemployment compensation, so they'll have extra money to spend from that. In addition, we were worried about small businesses, and that's really the backbone of the economy. We're worried about them going under. So they passed a stimulus package for them. $350 billion is available. We're trying to increase that by another $250 billion. And essentially, any small business or medium-sized business defined as having 500 or less employees can get a loan from the Small Business Administration to cover their wages, their payroll, and their expenses for 2 months. If they don't lay off any workers, the loan turns into a grant and doesn't have to be repaid. That money in the next week or two will start to reach small business. They'll bring workers back. So once May 1st comes and we can start to bring some of these businesses, we can open them up again. I think the recovery will start then. I think by June, we should start to see a more robust recovery. Now, there's a lot of variables here. I don't know about the disease itself, but assuming the optimistic case, the economy will go into a recovery in June. And I think by the end of the summer and into the fall, we're going to see an economy that was stronger than we had before, with even higher growth rate. So I'm very optimistic, assuming we can get through the health issues here. I'm real optimistic about what the federal government did. If I can just take another moment, I said this stimulus package was good and bad. Why is it bad? Prior to this virus hitting, the federal government was going to have a $1 trillion deficit this year. We can't sustain that. And they just passed the $2.2 trillion additional stimulus package. And because businesses have been down for a few weeks and workers aren't working, tax revenue will go down. What does all that mean? We're probably looking at a $4 trillion deficit for this fiscal year. We're $23 trillion in debt. We can't afford to keep doing this. Granted, this is not the time perhaps to be talking about this, but it is something we should keep in mind. We're going to have to deal with sooner rather than later. I'm a little nervous. They're talking about another stimulus package. I'm not sure this is the right time to do that.
You make an interesting point. This is why fiscal responsibility matters. Example be in a family, just to make it kind of downsize the problem. When perhaps something happens and the car breaks, the hot water heater breaks, that's not really the time to, say, the roof is leaking. That's not the time to try to conserve and not fix the problem.
Right.
But if you generally live kind of providently and not insanely on your credit card, when those problems occur, you can absorb them and deal with them. But when you basically live at the max all the time and you've maxed out your cards and you've got 2 or 3 mortgages on your house and you're completely overextended, when that problem hits you, now your ability to deal with it is very different. So I think you make a very good point, which is this is why when this is all over, we really do have to get our financial house in order, because we will make it increasingly impossible to deal with shocks to the system, and they will exist. So we might as well get ready for them by living providently when times are good.
And if I could add, already interest rates are very low. In fact, they're down close to zero. But interest on the public debt is already about $400 billion a year, and that's going to continue to grow as interest rates get higher. Economists worry when the public debt exceeds 1 year's worth of GDP. As long as the old rule of thumb was if the total debt stayed under 1 year's GDP, it was at least tolerable. Well, GDP will be about 21 trillion this range this year. We're up to 23 trillion in debt already, so already at about 110%, and we're going to add another 4 trillion this year. That simply cannot be sustained. We're pushing these problems off into future generations. It's our children and eventually grandchildren that are going to have to carry this burden. One thing they may look at some point, there's no mechanism to ever pay back any of this debt. In other words, we have a $4 trillion debt. We'll sell 20-year bonds. We'll pay the interest on it annually. When the 20-year bonds come due, what do? Well, we don't have the money to pay them back. We sell new bonds to pay back the old bonds. We roll over the debt, and the deficit, the public debt never goes down. The only time it did go down was from 1997 to the year 2000, when we actually ran a surplus in the budget. Those were the years where Newt Gingrich got a contract with America and was firm about cutting government spending. President Clinton, in his State of the Union speech, his exact words were, "The era of big government is over." And once he said that, we started to reduce spending. Let me also add, in 1997, President Clinton reduced the capital gains tax rate from 28% to 20%. That ignited the economy, and for the next four years, we averaged 4.5% annual growth, and actually took in more money at the lower tax rate than we did at the higher tax rate, and that enabled the budget to be balanced. So we're going to have to start looking at the era of big government being over, not increasing it, as some of President Trump's political opponents want to do. So we have to get our house in order. It's going to be a very difficult thing to do, but we can't continue to run deficits like this and carry a public debt the size of what we're carrying.
That makes a lot of sense. We are up against the break, Dr. Busler, so glad you can stick around, because I know that Rick has some questions and wants to get on this conversation. There's more to discuss, but I do want to remind our viewers and our listeners, we're the Conservative Commandos. You're listening and viewing us. I'm glad you're here. I'm George Landrith with Thrift Trader. We will be right back after these messages, but I do want to remind you, if you want to check out our website for more information, ccrshow.com.
Are you a veteran and are you a homeowner? Then think Streamline and maybe save yourself a few $100s every month on your mortgage. A VA Streamline refinance. It's called a rate reduction loan because mortgage interest reduction is exactly what it does. It's just for veterans, and it lowers your mortgage rate so you can save on mortgage payments every month, every year. That's a lot of money saved. And it's so easy to qualify. You don't need pay stubs, a W-2, or bank statements. You don't need a home appraisal. It's fast and easy to apply. And mortgage interest rates are very low right now. So a VA Streamline Refinance makes it super easy and super affordable to take advantage of this opportunity and really cut your monthly mortgage payments. Veteran and homeowner? Call us to find out more. 888-893-7491. 888-893-7491.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Is your credit card debt driving you batty? We're going up! Just like your credit card fees and interest rates. To the top! With those sky-high payments! You can't forget about your debt. Always fear! The debt suckers are here!
Are your payments sucking the life out of you? Just one call to Consolidated Credit can get the debt suckers off your back. Consolidated Credit will lower your interest rates, consolidate your bills into one easy payment, and get you out of debt fast. Call Consolidated Credit and get your life back.
Call 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213. That's 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213.
When debt is the problem, Consolidated Credit is the solution.
Because debt sucks!
Attention Viagra and Cialis users. Are prescription drugstore prices too costly? Get 50 generic pills for only $99. That's right, 50 100 milligram generic Viagra for only $99. Our products have the same active ingredients as the brand name products. Money back guaranteed if you're 100% not satisfied. Get 50 generic pills for only $99. Order now and call the number on your screen. Have your credit card ready.
And thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is George Landrith, President and CEO of Frontiers of Freedom. For rebroadcasts of our show, please check out our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. You can find rebroadcasts of our radio show there, our TV show there. There's a lot of other great information and a lot of terrific articles. Our guest this segment is Dr. Michael Busler. He's a public policy analyst and is a professor of finance of Stockton University in Pomona, New Jersey. Michael, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time.
My pleasure to be here, Rick.
Michael, in your article, A Very Remarkable President, Donald Trump, you made some terrific points. You talk about from 2007 to 2016, economic growth averaged about 2%. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the 3.5 or 3 so years of the Trump administration, it has been nearly double that. President Trump has also had a lot of obstacles. He's had numerous threats from the Middle East to Russia to China to North Korea to Iran. But above all, he's been able to maintain freedom and security in our country. Aside from the economy, which you and George were talking about, and we love to talk about when we have you here on the Conservative Commandos radio show. As far as foreign policy, he's done a terrific job, hasn't he?
I certainly think so. The prior administration had what I refer to as a stand down foreign policy. Every time there was any hint of a conflict, they kept saying, look, you don't want us to go into war, so we're going to back down. And all that backing down ended up coming out as weakness to our adversaries. President Trump has taken a position, as Ronald Reagan did, peace through strength. So build up the military, show that you have power and strength. The stronger you become, the less likely you are to have to use any of that power. Some of these other countries during the prior administration weren't afraid to do things because President Obama simply didn't react to it. They said in Syria, don't use chemical weapons. That's a red line. If you cross that red line, we're going to come at you hard. Cross the red line, nothing happened. When President Trump says don't do something, if they do it, he comes back hard, and he's been very successful at that. We had what President Trump said, and I agree with him, was a terrible deal with Iran, where we gave them billions of dollars and really just postponed when they would get a nuclear weapon. Well, President Trump said that's not agreeable. It's not acceptable to us at this point. If Iran, he said, we want to renegotiate this, so we're sure you're not going to get a nuclear weapon. They said, no, we're not going to do that. President Trump said, I'm going to put punishing sanctions on you. Their economy now, and has been for the last year, on the verge of collapse. With this coronavirus.
Right, and with the coronavirus, it's even doubled on that. Dr. Michael Busler, leading us out of this recession, I take that back. I call it a depression. I think this has been a self-induced depression. How would you compare what we're facing now to what America faced in 1929? I wasn't around. I'm older than dirt, but I even wasn't around in 1927.
Me either.
But you're a student of history. You're an economist. How does what we're facing today, with these terrible job numbers that we're facing this month, with this economy collapsing around us, how would you compare this to 1929?
1929, the economy went into a severe recession. The federal government didn't know what they should do to get us out of a recession, and we do now. And in fact, they ended up doing just the opposite. By 1935, we were starting to come out of the recession. The federal government decides it's time to put on a Social Security tax program in place and start taxing all wage earners. Trying to come out of a recession. Look, Social Security is a good program. I have no problem with it. I think it's very positive. It's the timing. And they came at it at the worst time. We actually went into another recession. The Depression was really two recessions back to back. Now, this time, the drop is deep. Usually, to be a depression, they look more at the length of time rather than the depth. This was not brought on by any economic factors, but was brought on by health factors, number one. Number two, the federal government knows what to do to stimulate the economy. Start passing a massive stimulus bill, massively increase the money supply, drop interest rates to zero, and the economy will grow. Now, some people said to me, well, wait a second, isn't that what President Obama did in 2009? And the economy didn't grow. And the answer is that's true. And why not? Well, the stimulus package is primarily putting money back into the hands of consumers through the money that's being sent to them, through the increase in the unemployment. Consumers will spend money on exactly what they want to spend it on. As a result of that, there's a good multiplying effect on spending. When Obama did it, he had, instead of cutting taxes, he increased government spending, started spending things on solar panels and jobs that weren't shovel ready, reduced the multiplying effect, and the fiscal policy didn't work. We also had massive increases in the money supply. Well, why didn't that work?
Well, Dr. Busler, I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry to do that, but we are coming up against a hard break. But when you talk about your vision for pulling us out, who has the track record to do it? Is it Joe Biden? Is it Bernie Sanders? Is it Hillary Clinton? Is it Michelle Obama or even Barack Obama if there were dual presidents? In your opinion, who has the experience and who has the policies to get America going again?
President Trump is concerned. From his first day in office, he put economic growth as his top policy priority, and we're starting to grow. Everybody else you mentioned there, their top policy priority is not economic growth. It's to cure perceived social injustices. It's injustice everybody doesn't have health care. It's injustice CEOs make so much money more than everybody else. It's injustice big banks take advantage of consumers. So what President Obama did was concentrate on curing those perceived social injustices, and every one of them reduced economic growth. This is the Affordable Care Act. Companies now have to either pay health insurance for every worker or pay a $3,000 fine. Tends to slow economic growth. The Dodd-Frank bill is passed, reduces or eliminates what he called predatory lending. Problem was it reduced almost all lending. When you reduce lending, there's no multiplying effect of monetary policy, which is why that didn't work. If any of those people you mentioned end up being president in this election, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm very confident President Trump is going to do well. But if he doesn't, any one of those people will not concentrate on economic growth. They'll concentrate on social injustices and will be stagnated for another 10 years.
Dr. Michael Busler, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Please tell our audience how they could read this article and all the things that you write.
So you can always Google my name, but if you look on my Twitter account, @mbusler, that's @mbusler, you'll see every one of my columns. I also have a Facebook page called Funding Democracy. So if you have a Facebook, just search Funding Democracy. You'll see all my columns. I'd be very happy to have you follow me.
Dr. Michael Busler, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And you are watching and listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with George Landrith and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be talking with Andy Mangione. He's the Vice President of AMAC, Association for Mature American Citizens. He's written an article, Liberals Trying to Censor Coronavirus Data Flow. So who are they putting at risk? Don't go away. We will be right back.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is George Landrith. And I want to give a shout out to folks who listen to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Long Beach, California, also Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., as well as seen on the AUN television network in San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, Wine Country, Silicon Valley, all the way up to Redding, California. And with that, George, we do have our first guest with us. And as you do with all our guests, please make them feel welcome.
Sounds good. Well, we are very fortunate to have with us Andy Mangione. He is the vice president of AMAC. That's the Association of Mature American Citizens. I think he means chronologically mature, not necessarily behaviorally. Otherwise, someone like me may not qualify. But at any rate, he's a passionate advocate for older Americans and has put his passion into practice as a key member of AMAC's leadership team. So he's been there for a while and just, doing good work with them to make sure, because if you look at, I would argue as that America's older population is often a political football. And in politics, they often aren't honest with our seniors and use scare tactics. And so it's great to have an organization that's going to be fact-based, that's going to be fair, it's going to be reasonable, and make sure to have their back. So with that, Andy, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you, George. I'm glad to be here. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Now, right now we've got this coronavirus. That's the big story in the news, of course. And one of my frustrations is sound data and sound information being used, or occasionally are we, and I don't, this is not a criticism of the president himself because he's not actually a scientist. But the question is, are the people advising him acting on real information and data, or are they acting in kind of this, fear factor? And on some level, when we see the numbers jump around in terms of, at one point they were projecting as many as 2 million deaths. Now they're down to projecting as few as, and I say few as because obviously 60,000 is still a lot. And if it's someone you know and love, then it's way, way too much. It's not just a number. But the point is, the difference between 2 million and 60,000 is huge.
Yeah.
So anyhow, what's your sense of how this is going? Because I see it's become a partisan issue. And when the president talks about trying to responsibly open up the government, he gets attacked.
Yeah.
And then he got attacked when he shut down flights from China. So it's almost like it doesn't matter what he does. He could lock us all down. He could make us stay in our basements. He could let us all out, whatever, and it doesn't really matter what he does. He's going to be attacked by the left.
Yeah. George, he could come up with the cure for cancer. And people on the left would have a big problem with that, I suspect. Okay.
Well, think of all the people he'd put out of business. I mean, like hospitals and nurses. I mean, how insensitive of him. Well, I'm outraged. I'm offended.
Yes. I'm sorry I triggered you. But I say that tongue firmly planted in cheek. And I also want to start off by saying that AMAC members overwhelmingly support this president's efforts and his response to the coronavirus. We poll our members. We're a member-driven organization, so we talk to them, and they are on this president's side. They are happy with the response. They're happy with the resources, the expanded Medicare Advantage services, expanded Part D services, testing services. They're on board with it. Now, getting back to your question, George, with regard to the information. Now, I didn't go to medical school. Full disclosure here. I went to business school. I didn't go to medical school. But it seems to me that some of these models that the president's advisors are using need to be looked at. Okay, they need to be scrutinized, because we wouldn't see variances of 90% in these predictions that we're seeing if these models were completely valid. I understand that this is somewhat of a moving target. It is, and it's difficult to manage. It changes from hour to hour. What we're talking about right now could be completely disproved, in 10 minutes or 24 hours. Okay, so we understand what the president's up against. But that said, our members have also told us that they are frustrated with the doom and gloom that's consistent on mainstream media sites and mainstream media channels. They're looking, they want real-time information. They want information that they could use. They want resources they could use. They don't want to tune in to their local TV station with a smile on their face, that anchor person saying, "We want to help you," and then scare the heck out of them. They're not looking for that. They want to make their own decisions based on valid information, updated information that they can rely upon. So, and I don't want to believe that the task force is among people who are paranoid. I don't think they are. I think the president, one of the hallmarks of his leadership has been his ability to put together very good teams. All right, and then delegate to them. His ability to adhere to the Constitution, i.e. delegating a lot of response of coronavirus to the states. This is good. Our members are happy with that. But in the same breath, this can't be sustained. The government, or I'm sorry, the economic shutdown cannot be sustained, and he's got some tough decisions ahead of him. I hope, and we do pray for this president, that he's using good information, and the information that's coming to him is not biased, and it's not driven by fear.
Well said. One of the things I think is interesting is there has been a move by the left to make sure that President Trump is not allowed to speak to the American public on this issue. They even went so far as to go to the FCC to argue that his briefings should not be on television. And it's very interesting to me that they would try to use government to censor. I mean, my view is if you don't want to cover it, don't cover it. That's your business. But the idea to get government to say, "Thou shalt not cover this," I don't know. I'm trying to think now. When I was in high school civics, there was a little thing. It's associated with the number 1, but I can't quite remember. I'm drawing a blank, but there was something about 1 that was important. 1 first something. Anyhow, first amendment. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
Amendment. Yeah. I think you're not allowed to do that. I joke. I actually am a constitutional. I've taught constitutional law, but my point is, you don't have to be a constitutional lawyer to know. I mean, in high school they teach you about the First Amendment, and yet the left's distaste and hatred of the president is so firm that even in time of crisis, they would rather act on their basest, if you will, motivations than act in America's best interests.
George, you couldn't be, you're spot on here. Okay. All you have to, there's a couple of examples of this. You got Joe Scarborough on CNN wanting to fact check everything that comes out of the president's mouth right as it's coming out during these press briefings. Think about what the president is doing. He's made himself and his team and his cabinet and the vice president completely accessible during this pandemic. Okay, these folks can be found on a daily press briefing. I know because we get the transcripts or we get excerpts and we share them with our members. And as soon as they come out, we get them. All right. So what happened? There was an organization called Free Press. Now, how ironic is that name? And what these folks wanted to do, they petitioned. So this is how bright they are. They petitioned the president's FCC to censor President Trump's press briefings because they believed that he was spreading misinformation. They came a little short. The FCC brought the thunder and the lightning down on this organization, this Free Press, because they failed to prove that the information that is being disseminated at these press briefings was, number 1, false, and number 2 and 3 could or did cause significant harm. All right. So the FCC said none of this is happening. Now, if you don't like it, don't watch it. All right. The FCC's response also underscores that you can't censor information just because you disagree with it and you don't like who's delivering it. And it's their blind hatred of this man. All right. And you're wondering now where was Joe Scarborough when President Clinton was doing his press conferences and perhaps being a little less than truthful? Nobody was suggesting fact checking the President Trump every time he held a President Clinton every time he held a press conference. This just wasn't happening. And people are going to remember this. People want this information. They crave this information. And there's a lot of people in this country believe they're getting the straight truth from the president. You attempt to censor that, there will be consequences.
Absolutely. I think it gives people the sense that there's something's up when you try to, my experience is when you try to shut people up, it means that you're worried what they might say. If they're saying something that's a bad idea, then just correct it and give a good idea. That's the way it works. And they don't want to do that. So I think their motives are clearly suspect. But we are up against the break. And I'm glad you can stick around for the second segment because I know Rick will want to jump in and have some things to ask about. But I do want to remind our viewers and listeners, we are the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landrith with Rick Trader. We're coming to the Conservative Commandos radio network, also the AUN TV network, and of course, everywhere, all over the globe, even if you aren't near a broadcast tower, on Al Gore's amazing internet. Our website, CCRShow.com, has all of our rebroadcasts. We truly are everywhere. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. But when I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing one-day bath and shower remodeling. The complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day. And for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $1.99 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host today is George Landrith, President and CEO of Frontiers of Freedom. I'm Rick Trader. And for rebroadcasts of our shows, please check out our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. You'll also find rebroadcasts of our TV show there, our radio show there, as well as a lot of other terrific information. Andy Mangione is our guest today. He's the Vice President of AMAC, Association of Retired American Citizens. It catches in my throat because it resembles me. And Andy, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time.
My pleasure, Rick. Thank you.
Andy, your article is Liberals Trying to Censor Coronavirus Data Flowing Do So at Their Own Risk. Andy, it's amazing to me, and you and George were talking about this, how this group, Free Press, went to the FCC to try to shut up the President of the United States. This is just absolutely unbelievable. And I've never seen anything like it before, and I'm older than dirt. You know, have you ever seen anything like this where a group is trying to go to a government branch to shut up the President of the United States? I mean, obviously they don't like him. That's one thing. But a lot of us want to hear what he has to say.
You know, Rick, the tactic shouldn't surprise anybody here. Okay, because if you look at the basic premise of liberalism, if they disagree with something, they just won't walk away. They just won't not buy that newspaper, not buy that magazine, turn off that TV station or that radio station. No, they want to shut it down. So that tactic has been consistent with liberals. Okay, going to the president's FCC to censor his daily press briefings takes that to a new level, and none of us should be surprised, but I'm telling you, this is going to be remembered mainly, at least among the AMAC membership, because I'm going to remind people they did this. That's why I wrote the piece that was published, and we blasted it out in our newsletter, and it got very, very good response to it. People they're outraged. Okay, one of the best things you can do during this pandemic is turn off the mainstream media, and I say that. Because they're not the arbiters of information that they once were. They don't have the monopoly that they used to have. People are recognizing the panic. They're recognizing the hysteria that's being fed by the mainstream outlets, and they don't want anything to do with it. But they know they can count on that daily briefing. They know that they can go to C-SPAN and watch the president. They know that they can go to the cables and watch it. All right. Their local TV stations may pull away, but they know they can access it. And if a group wants to start to censor that, people are going to realize that they're being jerked around. I think they realize they're being jerked around right now.
Andy, you saw some of this censorship of the networks during the impeachment trial. Remember the first half when the Democrats were giving their case, every single second was shown. However, when it got time for the Republicans to give their case for their rebuttal, they would cut away.
Right.
They would cut away. They would put on Happy Days or something like that. I'm being facetious with Happy Days, but they would cut away from it. Right. And Andy, I really do think that in times of crises, true leadership comes to the surface. I think we saw this in 9/11 with George W. Bush, and I even heard. I can even remember hearing a young president finding his voice. Mm-hmm. Andy, when I watch these briefings, President Trump is up there, and I have never seen him more presidential. Right. And these briefings are great. You've got the president, you've got the vice president, you've got the surgeon general, you've got all these, you've got these doctors there. You even had Attorney General William Barr there to give you the accurate, the correct information. But there's also been some very funny parts. And when I'm talking about the funny parts, I'm talking about the comedic questions coming from the liberal left. Like, Mr. President, don't you think calling this coronavirus makes you look racist? I mean, or do you think it's fair that professional athletes are getting tested before everybody else? I mean, here you've got the president, the vice president, the surgeon general, and that's the kind of questions they ask. Andy, am I alone in recognizing this, or are your members also seeing this and judging it for the same thing?
You're not alone, Rick, by any stretch of the imagination. AMAC represents 2.1 million members in all 50 states. We are seeing a surge in our membership, and we're very grateful, and we give the glory to God for that, okay? Thousands of people are joining AMAC every week, and not only that, thousands more are renewing their membership, so people are sticking around. And
well, Andy, will they remember it on Election Day? In your article here, nearly 25% of the voters this year will be age 65 and older. That sounds like me. You have that 43% of eligible voters who cast their votes. 49% of the ballots cast in 2019 were, again, that senior citizens group. Are they going to remember this election?
They're going to be out in full force, Rick. You know, just to reiterate, okay, in 2016, 43% of eligible voters, okay, were mature Americans. So people our age, okay? And they cast over 49% of the votes in 2016. And you left out the best part. This voting bloc traditionally votes for conservatives, and they show up. Okay.
Now, how's that? Let's talk about the other side, the younger voter. Do you have statistics on younger voters and how they vote?
Absolutely. Habits? Just looking at this past primary season, the younger vote, they call it the youth vote. That's 17 to 29, because I guess in some states you can register when you're 17 and a half, so they threw that stat in there. This is according to Pew. This isn't me just making these numbers up. The voters in the 17 to 29 age group stayed home in droves during this past primary season. I'm talking 2019, first quarter of this year. Alabama saw a 29% drop in voters in the 17 to 29 age range. So did North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, and New Hampshire. Okay. And now that Bernie's out of the race, there's going to be a whole lot of Bernie bros staying home, like they did in 2016 when
I sure do hope so.
From them.
Andy, there's something that this group could be doing now, and they could also do when they stay home Election Day. And that's reading the Constitution. I think that would be a little bit of advice. But Angie Mangione, AMAC, please tell us how our audience could find out more about AMAC and also find out what you do and the things that you write.
Well, thank you very much, Rick. First of all, I want to thank you for allowing us on the show, because we recruit new members being on wonderful shows like Conservative Commandos, and we're very grateful to be here. People can go to amac.us. That's AMAC.us. They can see all the updates we put on there for the coronavirus, and they could join AMAC. It only costs $16, and that covers a household. To join AMAC, you have a whole roster of member benefits, very, very full. All kinds of insurance products, roadside assistance, travel discounts, a whole host of benefits. But what you get is what I do. And I advocate on behalf of our members in Washington, D.C. I represent AMAC members in the field, but I spend a lot of time in Washington talking to members of Congress about the concerns of our members. They tell us what concerns them, and we take those concerns to Washington. We do not sit in a big room and decide what we're going to advocate on. Our members tell us that. That's what sets us apart from other large senior groups. We do not make unilateral decisions. We consult with our members every step of the way. That's why when I speak for them, I know what I'm talking about, because they're putting the words in my mouth. So you can visit amac.us. I also have an opportunity to represent the organization as a national spokesman. Here I am.
There you are.
I've been on your program before, and I'm very, very grateful speaking with J.D. Manier and the wonderful hosts at Conservative Commandos. But I also do a lot of writing on AMAC Media. We've got a Facebook page, a Twitter feed, our website, in addition to writing for national online publications like townhall.com. I write on a lot of healthcare because my background is in managed care. It's also in medical device and pharmaceuticals, so I bring that to the table as well when we lobby. We do a lot talking about HSAs. We lobby on financial issues. Social Security and its solvency is a big issue for our members, and AMAG's got a plan that will guarantee the solvency of Social Security without raising taxes. So these are the things that we bring to Congress, and these are things that we talk to members of Congress about.
Andy, phone number, website?
Sure. 888-262-2006. That is our toll-free number. You'll speak live with a member services representative in either our Florida office or our New York office, or maybe New Mexico, but it's in the United States. So that's 888-262-2006, or you can go to amac.us, to sign up online.
Andy Mangione, great to see you again. I'm glad you didn't get the coronavirus while you were at CPAC, as we didn't. But great to see you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.
And
My pleasure, guys.
You are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with George Landrith and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to have Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation join us, talking about potential for vote fraud with mail-in ballots is something we need to worry about. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our next guest.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is George Landrith. And once again, for rebroadcasts of our show, check out our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. And be sure to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And George, we have a really long-time friend of the show joining us, and please make that introduction.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's not just our friend. He's a friend of people who value the Constitution and conservatism. We have with us Hans von Spakovsky. He's an authority on a number of issues. He's a very bright fellow. Civil rights, civil justice, the First Amendment, immigration, the rule of law. He's also an expert on the issue of how we conduct our elections with integrity. He is a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation, and it's Edwin Meese III Center for Legal and Judicial Studies. You've seen his stuff on the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Times, Politico, Human Events, National Review, Town Hall. He's everywhere, and you've probably read a very good book that he and John Funn put together on it's entitled "Who's Counting? How Fraudsters and Bureaucrats Put Your Vote at Risk." He also wrote Obama's Enforcer. Eric Holder's Justice Department, and both are good reads. And anytime I see an article written by Hans, I make a point of reading it, because when I'm done reading it, I'm smarter than I was before I started reading it. With that, Hans, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos.
George, Rick, thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. One of the things that we've seen in this whole coronavirus, the aid packages that went through, was they wanted to squeeze in there mail-in elections. Right. And it's kind of interesting. I mean, one could argue that, I'm not arguing this, but someone could argue that between now and November, it may be that, things are out of hand and we can't have the traditional election we have, but that's way too early in my view. It seems to me You'd have to be a complete lunatic to assume that in late March, we should basically call off the election and instead just use the Postal Service to conduct our election. And yet that's what Nancy wanted to do. It doesn't seem to me that's a healthcare related decision.
No, you're exactly right. Look, even the worst projections we're seeing have this whole virus peaking sometime this summer. So the idea that we're not all going to be back at work, back at school, and therefore back in the polling place in November, I think is just wrong. But you're right. It's too early. And what Nancy Pelosi was pushing had all kinds of provisions in it that basically were the dream list of liberals to change election rules so it's easier to commit fraud and easier to manipulate elections. And all the provisions in her bill, which fortunately did not pass Congress, didn't just apply to this upcoming election. They were permanent changes, things like getting rid of voter ID in the states that had put that in, making vote harvesting legal in every single state, overriding state laws that ban it. So it's very clear they want to use this coronavirus crisis as a way of getting in the changes they want into our election rules.
It's interesting. Let's just talk about voter harvesting a little bit, because my recollection in California, for example, they had some ballot rules that made that more possible. And in the last election, on election night, a fair number of Republican incumbents had won re-election if you looked at the vote totals. It was pretty easy to call the election in their favor. And yet 2 weeks later, they were the loser. And so basically in California, they drove out virtually, not everyone, but virtually, it was amazing. I mean, it was a culling that you couldn't imagine in terms of the number of established Republicans who we thought had won on election night that they were able to turn out later as they kept finding more ballots and all this other stuff. So maybe you can explain a little bit to our listener how that works.
Sure. Something like 250,000 absentee ballots came in after Election Day. And what vote harvesting means, for people who don't understand that term, is basically this. Look, in every state, you can vote by absentee ballot, particularly in many states, if you are physically disabled or sick or can't make it to the polls. You can mail that completed ballot back to election officials. You can hand deliver it yourself, or a member of your family can hand deliver it. But in some states like California, they've made it legal for anybody to pick up your ballot. So that means what? It means that candidates, campaign organizations, party activists, political guns for hire can come to your house to pick up your ballot and supposedly then deliver it to election officials. Well, what does that do? That puts something very valuable, and a ballot, in the hands of people who have a stake in the outcome of the election. And there have been plenty of cases that have shown absentee ballots like that getting altered, forged, or voters being intimidated and pressured in their homes to vote a particular way, or having the ballots filled out for them. Why? Because there aren't any election officials around to supervise and make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because like when I go to vote, I can't take someone in with me to help me figure out how to vote, because the idea is it's my vote. And if someone I trust wants to tell me before I go in their recommended slate, I can certainly listen to them if I choose, but they can't actually get into the polling booth with me and tell me, George, you need to vote here. This is how you're voting. Understand? Here, here. And they've effectively allowed that to happen.
Yes. Yeah. Look, every state prohibits campaigning by candidates in political parties inside polling booths. There's nothing to prevent people from campaigning at your house and pressuring you to vote a particular way. And I know that we've seen cases where party folks followed the U.S. Postal Service truck going through neighborhoods to see them deliver those absentee ballots. And we see cases where they then go in and intimidate voters, steal their ballots, pick up their ballots, alter them so that the votes, when they arrive with the election officials, go the way they want that election to go.
Wow. Talk about corruption. Now, let's just play devil's advocate for a moment. And I think here, sometimes the word devil's advocate is just means, we'll take to the side. I mean, literally, we'll be the devil's advocate here. This is what the devil would advocate for. And that is this idea that, voting is so important. We want everyone to be able to do it. We don't want any limitations. And I'm thinking to myself, I think like cashing a check is important. I think the ability to open a bank account or to establish credit or to buy an airline ticket to visit family or go on vacation, all these things are important. And yet somehow they all require some ability to identify who I am and that I'm really who I say I am, etc. But voting somehow is so important that, we don't want any of that going on. And it makes my head hurt thinking about how transparently idiotic this is and how transparently corrupt it is. There is no plausible explanation for the idea that they're just simply trying to help people get their ballot counted. Every vote must count.
Yeah,
what a crock.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, we want everybody who's eligible to vote, but we also don't want their vote stolen or their vote diluted because fraud is easy to commit. And that is certainly the case of what is going on here. In essence, liberals want to throw out absolutely every and any rule that would in any way guard the security and integrity of the election process. And you always have to wonder, well, why are they so against that? Why are they against voter ID? Why are they against states, for example, comparing their statewide voter registration lists with other states and finding people who are registered in more than one state? It's as if they really want to make it easier to commit fraud so they can win elections. It's unfortunate, but that seems to be the only purpose of this.
One of my concerns, and why I think voter integrity and those kind of, making sure the ballot is real is important, is because before we had ballots and a constitutional system, we actually did have a way to resolve public policy disputes. And that was someone in town or someone in the community would gather up enough clubs or swords or spears to intimidate the other people in the town to go their way. And at some point we, matured enough. I don't mean here in America. I just mean as a civil society.
George, I got to correct you. That still goes on in Philadelphia a few years back. Their members of the Black Panthers stood outside of a polling booth. And
Fair point.
Let's just not put that in the past.
Yeah, so maybe it wasn't just in the past. But the idea is, if we don't actually trust our elections and we end up believing that they're a sham because people have so diminished the process that it effectively is a sham, then when you lose, why wouldn't you just say, never mind, I'm going to go back to the old system? Because at least in the old system, there was some finality, in terms of the outcome. And that's not. I'm not advocating that because that's not the world I want for my children. That's not the world I want for me. But my point is, the people who damage the integrity of the ballot box are effectively going to return us to that level of turmoil at some point.
Well, no, you're right, because what you're talking about is public confidence in the outcome of elections. And you're not going to have that public confidence in the outcome of elections, and therefore people respecting the legitimacy of individuals elected if they doubt that the system works. And just a very quick, real example of this. Look, in the 1990s, the U.S. Justice Department prosecuted almost a dozen individuals in a county in Alabama, Greene County, Alabama. This is a largely African-American community. They convicted all locals of engaging in massive absentee ballot fraud. Turnout actually went up after these convictions. Wow. And one of the elderly residents there, an African-American woman who had been interviewed by the FBI when they were investigating the case, told me that this woman called him after the election and said that she had gone to vote for the first time in a long time because she now had confidence in the outcome of the election. That illustrates exactly, I think, what you're talking about.
Exactly. I think confidence matters. And it used to be like, if, I wasn't excited when Jimmy Carter won, but I accepted the results, and I was in the next election going to redouble my efforts to do whatever I could to help a better candidate win. Fortunately, one did, Ronald Reagan. So the point is, that's how we used to view it. Now it seems that we're getting closer and closer to this idea, if my guy doesn't win, it wasn't legitimate. And if we take that doctrine seriously, we will eventually have civil unrest. It seems to me our goal has to be to have a legitimate system. We win or lose, it's clearly legitimate. Right. We all understand it. And our goal is to do better in the next election if we're unhappy.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And that's the way it should be. And that's what we have to work towards.
Absolutely. Well, we are up against the break, and sometimes it's a cruel taskmaster, but I do want to remind everyone that we are the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landrith with Rick Trader. We'll be right back after these messages with more from our good friend, Hans von Spakovsky. But just remember, we truly are everywhere. The Conservative Commandos radio network, the AUN TV network. And if you don't happen to be near one of the many broadcast towers, you've always got Al Gore's amazing internet, including our website, ccrshow.com. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Are you a veteran and are you a homeowner? Then think Streamline and maybe save yourself a few $100s every month on your mortgage. A VA Streamline refinance. It's called a rate reduction loan because mortgage interest reduction is exactly what it does. It's just for veterans and it lowers your mortgage rate so you can save on mortgage payments every month, every year. That's a lot of money saved. And it's so easy to qualify. You don't need pay stubs, a W-2, or bank statements. You don't need a home appraisal. It's fast and easy to apply. And mortgage interest rates are very low right now. So a VA Streamline refinance makes it super easy and super affordable to take advantage of this opportunity and really cut your monthly mortgage payments. Veteran and homeowner? Call us to find out more. 888-893-7491. 888-893-7491.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Is your credit card debt driving you batty? We're going up! Just like your credit card fees and interest rates. To the top! With those sky-high payments! You can't forget about your debt. Always fear! The debt suckers are here!
Are your payments sucking the life out of you? Just one call to Consolidated Credit can get the debt suckers off your back. Consolidated Credit will lower your interest rates, consolidate your bills into one easy payment, and get you out of debt fast. Call Consolidated Credit and get your life back.
Call 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213. That's 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213.
When debt is the problem, Consolidated Credit is the solution.
Because debt sucks!
Attention Viagra and Cialis users. Are prescription drugstore prices too costly? Get 50 generic pills for only $99. That's right, 50 100 milligram generic Viagra for only $99. Our products have the same active ingredients as the brand name products. Money back guaranteed if you're 100% not satisfied. Get 50 generic pills for only $99. Order now and call the number on your screen. Have your credit card ready.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is George Landrith, President and CEO of Frontiers of Freedom. And our guest this segment is Hans von Spakovsky. He's a senior legal fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Edwin Meese III Center for Legal and Judicial Studies. Hans, thanks for waiting through that break. We really do appreciate your time with us.
Sure thing.
Hans, you and George were talking about how a lot of people say every vote should count. Well, I want my vote to count. Problem is, I get the feeling all too often that my vote is negated by somebody else who voted illegally.
Right.
Now, I do vote, but I think that this may be a case for a lot of people not to go out and vote. They think doesn't matter. I think your example in Alabama shows exactly that.
Right.
Don't you?
But, no, I agree.
Yeah. Hans, in your article you talk about, and let me find it, the Heritage Foundation did a study on voter fraud and found like 1,300 proven instances of fraud, including numerous cases of absentee ballot fraud. And there was something in there I really found interesting. Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, we actually play a video from time to time, a guy singing about he believes his dog is a Democrat. But this guy, Richard Davis in California, his dog really was a Democrat. Tell us that story.
One of the cases we added was a guy who wanted to show just how unsecure the voter registration process is in California. So he registered his 4 dogs. Got them registered to vote. They were registered as Democrats in the state of California. The only reason anybody found out about it was because he called up the local district attorney to tell him what he had done. The state Secretary of State, they didn't detect it. Now, he was prosecuted because he'd been warned, don't do it. So he then registered his deceased father also to register to vote, and then they prosecuted him. But the point of that story is, in the upcoming election, if he had not told anybody what he had done, he could have easily requested 5 absentee ballots for his 4 dogs and his father. He could have completed the ballot. His signature for each of the dogs would have matched the signature he had when he registered to vote, and he would have voted 5 times. And I can tell you just about guarantee that election officials would not have detected it. That's how easy it is to cheat if you're willing to do it.
Well, I'd like to send a few bucks to his legal defense fund. I don't advocate breaking the law, but I really do think that Richard Davis had the right idea in mind. He just went about it the wrong way. But Hans, in your article, you also talk about other instances of voter abuse. And I'm going to butcher this name, but I'm going to try. Gustavo Araya Lerma, an illegal alien from Mexico, voted multiple times in elections in Sacramento, California, under false identity. What's the backstory on Gustavo?
Well, in fact, that's a real problem around the country, but particularly in California. I mean, he is just evidence of how easy it is, if you are not a U.S. citizen, to register and vote, despite the fact that it is illegal. I mean, it's almost by chance that he got caught with this. And this problem has been made worse, particularly in California, because California was one of the first states to switch to automatic voter registration. Mm-hmm. They don't ask you anymore when you go to the DMV to get your driver's licenses, would you like to register to vote? They automatically register you. And California provides hundreds of thousands of driver's licenses to illegal aliens. Mm-hmm. And they do not have a good system in place to make sure that those aliens are not getting registered to vote. I think basically they really don't care about it. They've been, as you know, they've turned themselves into a sanctuary state. They provide all kinds of benefits to illegal aliens, and they really don't care if aliens are illegally registering and voting.
Well, not every person who is in the voter fraud business in California is an illegal alien. Norman Hall was involved in a scheme with 8 other individuals, including homeless on Skid Row. Tell us that story.
They were filling out petitions, and they were paying folks who were homeless to sign the petition and paying them money to do that, which of course is also illegal. California is one of those states, as you all know, for example, they have a lot of referendum to get on the ballot. To get on the ballot, you have to get a certain number of signatures from voters, and they were paying folks to do that. Well, highly illegal.
This wasn't the only case that has been found of paying people to vote illegally. Heritage Elections Fraud Database has more than 60 instances of vote buying.
Right.
Tell us about another instance.
Well, we got another case we just added because we're continually updating our database. of a guy running for city council in New Jersey, and he was paying $50 a piece to folks to vote for him through their absentee ballots. And of course, that points out one of the problems, again, with absentee ballots. If somebody goes into a polling place, you're voting anonymously, so the guy illegally paying you he's not guaranteed that you have voted the way he's paid you to vote. But with absentee ballots, he can come to your house, watch you fill out your ballot, and make sure you have voted the way he's about to pay you to vote. It makes vote buying easier when you have all-mail elections.
Hans, I know you said that was in New Jersey because I resemble that remark. What part of New Jersey do you recall? You remember?
Off the top of my head, I don't recall which town it was in.
Interesting. Hans von Spakovsky, Heritage Foundation, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Always appreciate the time that you spend with us. Can you please tell our audience how to follow your work, read what you're writing, find out more about Heritage Foundation?
Sure, they can go to heritage.org, heritage.org, and the article you were just talking about was up at the Daily Signal, which is Heritage's electronic newspaper.
Hans von Spakovsky, thank you so much for joining us. Hey, listen, I'm glad you look like you're doing well. Apparently, you're self-quarantined. But again, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Sure, thank you. Bye-bye.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is George Landrith. Don't go away. George and I will be back with more right after this break.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Well, George Landrith, that just about wraps it up for today's show. And as always, I'm very appreciative of the time that you spend with me here on Conservative Commandos. But George, please tell our audience where they can keep track of what you're up to when you're not here.
Absolutely. One, it's just great to be with you. I always enjoy it. It's fun to do the show. It's a highlight of my day and my week. But my website's easy. It's Frontiers of Freedom. That's the organization I head, ff.org. And then if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at @GLandrith, Landrith, G-Landrith or just at @GLandrith, sorry. Pretty simple. So.
All right.
We've got some guests to thank, and I do want to thank Dr. Michael Busler. He, the economist and finance expert. We had a great conversation about the economy and what's going on with that. And then, of course, we had Andy Mangione, who's the vice president of AMACA, the Association of Mature American Citizens. Again, just a very interesting conversation about how all this impacts and the data and it is driven. And then concluding with Hans von Spakovsky at the Heritage Foundation, just a very interesting conversation about how the left is using the coronavirus in an attempt to make our elections less reliable and less secure. So just useful, helpful information all the way around from everyone.
Yep, never let a crisis go to waste. Where have we heard that? But for right now, we are out of time. We got to run and we got to go. Take care, God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.